Welcome back, everybody. I am one of your hosts, Scott, coming to you live from the west side of Toronto again.
Hello again, Scott. This is Andy coming to you from the United Kingdom as usual.
I do have some travel coming up. We should probably do a road show if we can. That'd be fun.
Yes, absolutely. Find a studio in a new town, a
In
new
another
city where
town.
we can do it together.
Welcome to Tea and Timbits, a podcast on global perspectives on business development to help you prosper. Today, we are going to continue a conversation that came up in our episode from last week, and we are going to talk about what to do when your results are not coming in. Before we get to that, it's your turn to tell the story, Andy.
Thanks very much, Scott. Yes, it's a very interesting topic coming up. I'm quite excited about it. I'm not sure either of us have the actual answer, but hopefully we will cover some useful ground on the way. But speaking of these situations, the story I had this week was about change. I work a lot with companies who are looking to change, to either develop into a new market or launch a new business area or something along those lines that involves an element of change within a business and involves an area of development. So the story is a positive one. I had an experience recently with a leadership team who were absolutely crystal clear on what needed to happen, how it was going to happen, and they just needed someone external to help them to deliver it. And it was a very refreshing experience to come into an organization and they know who they are because I know that they're listening.
Whoa. Nobody listens.
If only that were true, we would get away with so much more. No, they were clear. They had the vision of exactly what they wanted to achieve, and that vision wasn't just a financial goal. It involved all of the elements of everything within their business: the sales, the manufacturing, the operations, everything that was clearly mapped out. This is their vision over the next 3 to 5 years. This is what they're going to achieve. And then they had the transformation element of it mapped out as well, how they were going to achieve these things, what journey that was going to take. And then they even had the framework for the communication of how they were going to communicate these things throughout the business on that stage process. And it was absolutely refreshing. And I just wanted to share it because those three key elements of a change process are essential if you want to have a change succeed. And I wanted to share it on here because it was a good reminder that actually a lot of companies do know what they're doing and they do a good job, but some don't, some struggle with it. And so we'll share with all of them three elements for a successful change: have a clear vision, have the transformation process mapped out, and be very, very clear on your communication with internal and external stakeholders.
Isn't that refreshing? Isn't that delightful when you get those kinds of situations? Yeah, that's really
why
good.
I wanted to share it with the listeners.
Yeah, and for sure they landed in that place with that kind of quote unquote business maturity because it's not gone so well for somebody around that table, or many of them, or all of them in the past. So
yeah, completely right.
That's great.
So leading on to things not going very well, let's move on to the topic.
Yes. So let me set it up for you. Imagine this. You have a team, and so to recap why we got to this topic, in our last episode, there was a scenario we're talking about where we're managing behavior, and we have business plans both for the business but also personal business plans for the individuals that are on the team that are responsible for delivering those business development results. And there's alignment, there's clarity, there's a framework for managing and organizing that. There is a strategy for going to market. And you evaluate against the behaviors that are in those plans, and the numbers don't come in. So we have a great plan, but it's not working. So what do you do? Over to you, Andy.
So in your scenario, you have the right plan, you have the right people, and you have the right activity level, but the results are just not matching.
Well, I would suggest you don't have the right plan, but that the failure was at the beginning of crafting an invalid plan, which is like, we think we will find prosperity down this path. You go down that path and you have all the tools and skills you need to follow that path. But at the end of the path, you don't find the result. So
in those scenarios, what I typically find is that either you're trying to maintain a plan for a market that has an old plan of something that has worked in the past but will no longer work for the market because the market has changed for whatever reason, or you have changed the plan from what has worked in the past, but the market hasn't changed accordingly.
Right.
And you're either trying to launch something new or into a new market that isn't ready for it. You're one step ahead of where the market should be, or you're one step behind. And
Yep.
taking those and taking that self-reflection, doing a bit of market research, a bit of market analysis is very important in that. It's also important to make sure, when was the last time the team were trained? Are they doing all of the things that they should be doing when they're going into the sales calls? Are they making the necessary preparations? Are they having the right conversations with the customers? At what point is it stalling? Is it that the meetings are not coming in at all? Or is it the case that the meetings are coming in, but there's just nothing happening after that first meeting? Or is it that you're getting further down the line, you're getting to the proposal stage, and then nothing's happening? It's really important to do that analysis and break everything down into those smaller components and analyze each one of those components and then test them and check them out. Where is this potentially falling down? Because if you can identify the reason that it's no longer happening in the way that it has happened before, or the way that you expected it to happen, despite the right, as far as you can tell, the right plan with the right people in the right place at the right time, doing the right things, there's something's off. Something is definitely off. And it's really taking the time to identify what that element is. It could be one, and it typically is only one. And that's the challenge, is finding that one. But sometimes you'll get lucky and it's one or two. But when you find that one, don't stop checking. Keep checking, keep looking, look at all of the elements, go through the whole process anyway.
You might be misfiring on more than one front.
Correct. And another important one, which is often missed, is there a reputation issue? Has something happened in the market that's made the market go, we no longer want this particular product or service. We no longer feel that we need this. Is there a new competitor in the market that's offering something that goes against the product or service that's being sold? Or worse, has there been some bad press or bad review about your company that you need to address or that you missed? And going out there, those things you typically would pick up on, but sometimes you don't. So also thinking about that far end of the process as well, because you can sometimes get things into the funnel and then the market goes, no, we're not interested in that because it's no longer relevant for us. So it's understanding which of those many factors that I mentioned it could be, and finding which one of those it is. And that's across any business, across any size of business, any industry. It's much harder as a startup because you don't have that reference point of what has worked in the past. But you do have some sort of business experience usually.
Interesting. I think it's actually easier in a startup. I think you can move faster. You can be more nimble. You can try many things at once. To be honest, you have different kind of energy in the system to react to that. I think that it is the more established businesses, brands, and service providers that take longer to change. Well, it's always worked for us before, and let's not be too reactionary and change too quickly. Let's see if we just maybe next month, maybe there's some idiosyncrasy about right now that, we just need to get through. And so as I love everything that you said. And my reflection was, boy, that could take a long time to diagnose. If you're going through the process and you have to, I completely agree. Like that's a very good sound thing to do. And sort of listening to myself talk, I think part of it needs to incorporate some entrepreneurial startup kind of spirit in a larger business as well. Well, listen, let's not change everything, but let's do 90% of our activity the way we've always done and make small adjustments, and we'll scrutinize every step along the way, one at a time in sequential order until we finally figure it out 18 months from now. But we're also gonna experiment over here with a little bit, of this person's time or one light resource, and we're gonna test it and see if we can get some data points to accelerate a different kind of reaction or change.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but you're completely right. It can be a very time-consuming thing, but when you've identified that things are just not as they should be, it is important that you don't just go, this or that, and take the easy road of going, the market's bad now, or people are not spending, or
Well, I
whatever.
find it's hard to do this and not have everybody's defenses get up. So you
Yeah,
have a conversation
absolutely.
and you say, well, this isn't, let's collaborate as a team here.
Mm.
How much of this is on the leadership? How much of this is on the whole team? How much of this is on the individual? What would you say to that?
I think that again comes back to elements of the story that I mentioned there, because what you're requiring is a change. You are
Yeah.
telling everyone that there's going to be a change,
Yeah.
and it's a way of making sure that you don't just tell everybody to join you on that journey and to embrace your new vision. You have to get them on board as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's about being upfront. It's about going out there and thinking about, okay, this is the vision. This is the journey that we're going to go on to implement that vision. And this is how we're going to communicate it. And as a leadership team, you need to think about that before, because if you can then go out to your organization and go, right, things are not as they should be. These are the we don't know why, but what we're going to do is we're going to do some workshops together. We're going to try and identify these issues. What we want to achieve as a result of this is this.
Right.
We see it's going to take this type of time. These are the type of things that you can expect to see in your business over the next 6 to 12 months or 18 months or 2 years. The timeline doesn't matter. It matters that you're communicating it in the right way, and that people feel that they want to be part of that journey with you. They want to contribute to the business success, and they want to contribute to that change. And then the change isn't so scary, and people will embrace it, and people
Mm-hmm.
will be much more likely to follow you on that journey, as opposed to if you just go out there and tell them, right, things aren't working, we need to fix it. Where's the problem? Come on, let's have a look at
Well,
this and let's do this.
the quote in my head at the moment is kind of contrary to that. It's hire fast and fire faster. It's like
Yeah.
you don't have to agonize over every hiring decision, and if it sometimes go on gut, and if it feels good, off you go. But you have to be quick to react to problems that erupt. I mean, I don't think. I think for some businesses, you're in a growth stage or a startup moment where that is probably not bad advice to live by. I don't necessarily think it's appropriate for most companies, but there's a grain of truth to that. That I think what you have to take away is sometimes there are systemic problems, and sometimes you're looking for the positive story, and sometimes you're trying to convince yourself that this must be a sound strategy or this must be a good plan, and the problem lies elsewhere. So I think also getting some sort of external validation or review or input on the challenge can be helpful at times as well.
Yeah. Very good.
All
I
right.
think we should leave the conversation there, Scott. Thank you very much. That's been really interesting. Very, very good perspective. Hopefully, we have given some good advice to the markets and to each other.
Yeah, I certainly have lots to think about. So thank you for sharing, Andy. Much appreciated. Thanks, everybody who's listening. If you want to get in touch, as always, you can go to tandtimbits.com. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Scott.